Hey there, first grade. Welcome back to another remote learning math lesson with Mr. Enzi. Today, I'm going to start with a little joke. What time is it? All right, I'll tell you. It's time for math. And today, we're going to learn how to tell time. So you are going to need something important for this. One of your math mats in your sheet protector has a really big clock on it. It says, what time is it? So you want to find the really big clock template. Place that right in the first sheet of your sheet protector. Get your dry erase marker, and you are going to be ready to learn how to tell time, because I'm ready to shrink myself into the corner. Today, we are going to be doing grade 1, lesson 6.1, time and the hour hand only clock. And you will need your clock math mat and your sheet protector. So if you don't have that clock math mat, you want to look for it, get it into the front of your sheet protector, because you will definitely need that for this video lesson. So here we go. Let's get started. You know, when I look around my house, I see some different clocks. One of the types of clocks that I have is called a digital clock. Say that. Digital clock. You might see some digital clocks in your house. The digital clocks have the actual numbers. So this little digital clock has the number 1 and then the number 30. So when I look at my digital clock, all I have to do is read 1:30. I know exactly what time it is. But I also have a different kind of clock in my house. This type of clock is called an analog clock. Say that word, analog. Now, an analog clock is a little bit different. An analog clock is the shape of a circle, and it has these lines on them, and the lines move all the way around. And we call these the hands of a clock. And the really, really long hand is called the minute hand. So that's our minute hand. The minute hand points to the tick marks all the way along the outside. But the little tiny hand, that's called the hour hand. So here's what I want you to think right now. I want you to think of something that you do that takes about an hour. I know when I build Lego, it takes me about an hour to build a part. Yeah. Sometimes when I drive to the beaches, Ocean City, or Sea Isle City, or Atlantic City, or Cape May, it takes about 1 hour. Do you know that in school, math class is about 1 hour? Well, today we are going to take a look at the hour hand, that little tiny hand that we have. Now, let's take a look at my clock. You're going to notice that my clock has a little tiny hand. There's no arrow at the top of my hand. A lot of times first graders draw arrows, but there's no arrows. It's just a little line. It doesn't even reach the number. But you can notice that on my clock, at the very top, is the number 12. And then we go to the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're back to the beginning. And every time we hit another number, that's another hour. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Notice how my clock moved. I always counted in order. We can't turn back the clock. We can't go backwards. The clock doesn't move that way. The clock only moves forward in a counting order. Go ahead and trace the outside of your clock with your finger. Point to the 1, the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock. Well, today we're going to be drawing our hour hand on our clock. When it's 1 o'clock, the hour hand points to the 1. When it's 2 o'clock, the hour hand points to the 2. When it's 5 o'clock, the hour hand points to the 5. When it's 8 o'clock, the hour hand points to the 8. And when it's 10 o'clock, the hour hand points to the 10. Now, we can also talk about being close to an hour. And here's why. When we tell time, the clock always moves. Time never stops. So I could look at my clock right now and tell you what time it is. And in about a minute, the clock's going to change. So it's really important for us to be close when we tell time. Let me show you what I mean. Right now it's 1 o'clock. But if I go a little bit past it, we say it's a little bit past 1. I can go on to 2 o'clock, but if I want to be a little bit past it, I just keep going a little bit past the 2. If I wanted a little bit past 3, I'd go to 3 o'clock and I'd move it just a little bit past the 3. If I wanted a little bit past 8, I'd go to the 8 o'clock and then I'd go a little bit past the 8. Notice that I didn't head toward my 7. I went toward my next number because that's the way the clock moves. Now, just like we can do a little bit past, we can also do a little bit before. It might be a little bit before 1 o'clock. That means I didn't even reach the 1 o'clock yet. It's a little bit before 1. Or I could be a little bit before 2. Oh, look how close I am to landing on that 2 o'clock. Or I could be a little bit before the 3. Or a little bit before the 4. I'm not landed on the 4, but I'm a little bit before it. I could be a little bit before 5. I could be a little bit after 5. I could be a little bit before the 6. I could be on the 6. Or I could be a little bit after the 6. So today we're going to practice on our sheet protector of drawing that little hour hand to make different times. So let's take a look. On our sheet protector, let's go ahead and at the bottom of our sheet protector, let's go and write 4 o'clock. Now you can look on Mr. Enzi's. I have the number 4. And then your little 2 dots are already on your sheet protector. That's called a colon. And then I have a 0 and then another 0. That means 4 o'clock. 2 zeros is said o'clock. So we want to make 4 o'clock on our clock. So we have to just take our hour hand and make it point to the 4. Let's see if I can do it. I'm going to go right to the 4. And remember, it's not a long hand. It's a short one. So I don't reach the 4, but I point right at it. See if you can draw your hour hand at 4 o'clock. Awesome job. Hopefully it looks like mine. Notice that I did not put arrows. Sometimes I always see a first grade mathematician, they stick an arrow. I'm like, no arrows on our hands of our clocks. It's just a little straight line. Let's take a look and try another one. Go ahead and erase your clock. This time, it's 7 o'clock. Go ahead and write 7 o'clock at the bottom. Remember, don't forget, those 2 zeros means o'clock. Now this time, we have to point the hour hand to the number 7. Oh, let's see if we can do it. There it is. I did it on mine. A nice short little straight line. And it's headed right at the number 7. That means it's pointing at 7 o'clock. Good job. All right, you can clear off your sheet protector. Let's try another one. This time, let's make it a little bit more tricky. This time we have a little past 2. So it's not 2 o'clock. It's a little bit past the 2. So you can't point the hour hand right at the 2. You have to go a little bit past it. Where would you put your hour hand if it was a little past 2? Well, Mr. Enzi can't point it right at the 2, but I'm going to head a little bit toward the 3. And I'm going to go and put my hour hand right there. Notice that it is a little bit past the 2. Did you draw yours a little past 2? Awesome job. Let's take a look at one more. You might have to erase your sheet protector. This time it says a little before 7. A little bit before it. So we have to find the number 7. Up, here's my 7. And if I want to go before it, I think, what number comes before 7? 6. So I'm going to put the hour hand a little bit before that 7. Almost in the middle of the 7 and the 6. So I'm going to go ahead and put my hour hand a little bit before the 7. Wow. This is the start of us learning to tell time. And today we took a look at the little hand on the clock called the hour hand. And we learned that there's 12 hours on the clock from the number 1 all the way to the number 12. And then it starts over again. You're going to have some clock activities where you're going to have to draw that little hour hand in the right spot. And I can't wait to see how smart you are.